Thank you for joining us for part 2 on the Red Couch with Jaden Hair. Now, I said to you that my version of cooking is really not up to par with most people's. So what do you recommend to someone like me who is a little bit intimidated by a recipe book or just even the idea of cooking and, following plans?
Cooking can be as simple as boiling eggs and serving it over toast and sprinkling really good salt on it. And having a side of greens. That's cooking. And so there, a lot of people think, oh, I've got to have all these nice pans and I've got to have all these different ingredients. But the meals that we have at home as just regular meals are very, very simple. But we use the very best ingredients. Mm-hmm. As much as possible, get the good organic vegetables and fruits. I truly, truly believe in that. So when you have good produce and fresh produce, you don't really have to do a lot with it. It's, let the produce sing. I also recommend to families that are busy with kids that they have a list of recipes that they can go to without even thinking about, and having that list printed out so at a moment's notice you can pull it out on your phone if you need to and say, oh, let's make this for dinner. I already know how to make. I don't have to look at a cookbook. I have half the ingredients in my pantry. So for a lot of families, I just sit to make a list of recipes. What's your repertoire? And you can pull out of your pocket at any moment in time.
So like one per week, or one like a Monday recipe, a Tuesday recipe?
No, I'm not that structured. Actually, I'm very unstructured. But as long as I have, in my bag of tricks, as long as I can take something out that I know every single person in my family will love, and sometimes it's buying a roasted chicken from the supermarket and getting some tortilla and sour cream and salsa, and we're having taco night, and the chicken sits in the middle of the table, and you kind of carve your own meat and put it on your own taco, and top it with cheese, and that's dinner. I know every single one of my family members loves that, and it's so easy, and it's in my bag of tricks. So I don't have to think about it.
Right, and it's not cooking every single thing from scratch where it takes so much time and you come home from work and you're already starving.
Exactly. So, it just depends on everyone's schedule. But another example is, for some reason, my kids love Hamburger Helper. I don't know who fed them Hamburger Helper. I don't know how that came about, but they love it. And so, you know what? I cook it for them. And maybe instead of using ground beef, we'll use ground turkey or something much more leaner. And we'll add some vegetables. We'll throw some broccoli in there. We'll have a giant salad with it. So it's not, I'm not harsh on what we eat, what we can eat, what we can't eat. But you know what? If we're going to balance things out, if we're going to have something like Hamburger Helper, we better have a good salad right next to it.
So that would be one of your recipes on your meals on your list. So you could you go to it, you know exactly what you need.
Yep.
You already have the Hamburger Helper, whatever. You just needed some fresh lettuce or whatever.
Exactly.
That's a great idea.
And I don't have to think about it.
Yeah. That's a really, really good idea. And it sort of takes away all the stress and the burden of, oh my God, what are we going to have for dinner?
What's for dinner? What's for dinner?
Right.
Exactly.
Because I think that's what hangs most of us up.
Yeah, and another trick for kids is they get to choose maybe a side item and give them control and power over what they enjoy as a family for dinner. Because a lot of times it's, whatever mom's cooking or whatever dad's cooking, but it's not as fun for kids unless they're a part of that decision making.
Right.
So I'll say, okay, what vegetable do you want? You guys pick out the vegetable when we're at the grocery store, and I'll pick out this, and then we'll make a meal out of whatever it is. And they love that. Love that.
And then they'll want to eat it.
They'll want to eat it. They're in the kitchen with me peeling carrots and washing the vegetables, getting the salad together. They choose the ingredients for the salad. Oh, here's another trick.
Yeah.
This whole show is going to be about tricks, right?
Perfect.
Cooking tricks. My kids love salad, but it took practice for them to say, okay, salad is now part of our family meal. And what made it fun for them was, do you know when you go to a bar, they have the condiment trays the bartender uses to get the lemons, the limes, the cherries. It's a little plastic flip-up thing.
Yeah.
Well, get one of those or a couple of those, fill it with all different types of salad ingredients, and bring that out to the table, and then the kids will make their own salad, and you can stick that whole thing right back in the fridge when you're done. And they love it because they feel like they have some kind of control over what they eat, what they don't eat, and you'll be so surprised that when you have something like that on the table that looks so much fun to like open the compartment and add a little this, add a little that, all the different things that they're willing to try.
I saw you do that with hamburgers.
Yes.
But you used hamburgers, and then you added spices. So they were, was it Korean spices?
I did.
Yeah.
So like soy sauce, garlic, ginger to hamburger meat, and made Korean flavored hamburgers. Korean inspired hamburger, and then throw some kimchi on it if you really like spices. You can do that to hot dogs. You can do that to a turkey burger, a salmon burger, anything.
And then you laid out all of the condiments on the table, so then everybody could kind of create their own.
They make their own thing. There's many different types of pickles. Like I have a cucumber pickle. There's an apple pickle. There's a slaw that's more Asian flavored. There's the kimchi, and everyone just kind of makes their own thing.
So everybody loves fried rice.
Yes.
But how do you make it so that it's simple and are there any tricks?
Yes, absolutely. There's always a trick for everything.
I know, this is great.
First of all, you have to use day-old rice because day-old rice that's been refrigerated has dried out a bit. So that you can, remember you're adding soy sauce into the rice when you're making fried rice. So you want to make sure your rice is dried out a little bit so that when you add more moisture, it doesn't become soggy.
Oh,
does that make sense?
Yes, definitely.
So day-old rice, or 2 days old, or even 3 days old. But whatever leftover rice that you have in the refrigerator, just bring it out, break it up, and I love using my wok. In fact, I have a Steamy Kitchen wok that we came out with earlier this year, and I love using a wok. So we'll get the wok really hot, and we fry each ingredient almost separately in its own time because I want each ingredient to taste like the ingredient. I want my eggs to taste like eggs, the carrots to taste like carrots.
Right.
If you throw everything all at once into the pan, it's going to taste like mush.
It's
going to taste like
big stew.
And really, that's it. You can add any type of ingredients that you want to fried rice, but as long as you use day-old rice and you make sure that you cook ingredients separately and then bring them all together and fry it.
And you said to make sure it's hot.
Hot, yeah, hot. Like you want to make sure you're heating every single grain of rice through. Otherwise, you end up with hard fried rice.
It's like when you put a pizza in the oven, you want to make sure the oven's hot.
Exactly.
Is there such thing as Asian pizza?
Well, absolutely there is. Have you ever been to P.F. Chang's?
Yes.
Yeah, they have like a hoisin. I think they still have on the menu, but it's a hoisin duck pizza. California Pizza Kitchen has their most famous pizza they have is the barbecue chicken pizza, which not barbecue. They have a Thai chicken pizza. They have there's many. I mean, basically a pizza is some kind of flat bread, dough, and put stuff on top. So, you can put any type of ingredients that you want on top.
You just make it easy. You make it sound easy. Like I feel like, okay, I could probably do this.
You can!
Now, you kind of came full circle. You grew up in Nebraska. You got to see kind of how difficult that was. And then you were awarded, was it called, what was the award called? Minority Award?
Yeah.
Business Award of the Year?
A few years ago, the Sarasota, it's a business alliance, the Chamber of Commerce, the Sarasota Chamber of Commerce, I won the Minority of the Year Award. And, at the awards ceremony, this is a room like 700, packed full of like 700 different area local politicians and prominent business people and like famous people. And I walk up to accept my award, and my knees are shaking because like I know I'm gonna say something that's not going to be just as simple as thank you, because I feel very strongly about the word minority. Now, growing up in Nebraska in the 70s, I was a minority. I absolutely was. But now, these days, my husband is Caucasian, but my kids are half and half, and they do not know the word minority. They've never once used that word. They don't identify themselves as minority, and even if they were full 100% Chinese, I would not say, oh, you're minority. And so, when I went up there to accept my awards, my knees are shaking. I'm like, well, I really appreciate this award. However, as forward-thinking as Sarasota is, I'd like to put out there that I hope my kids would never have to identify themselves as a minority. Mm-hmm. And I walked out, I'm like, I'm going to get lynched. I go in the parking lot, but no, I got a standing ovation. And the following year, they actually changed the name of the award to Cultural Diversity, which I'm like, yes, that's perfect. That's absolutely perfect.
So you could have been mad. You could have been, insulted. You could have been annoyed, which, of course, and no one would blame you, right? But you used it as an opportunity to educate people.
Well, now I will tell you, I do have a temper. I do get my share of anger, and I think it's reframing in my mind. Scott and I are wonderful at talking to each other, and if I'm down, he's up. If he's down, I'm up, and we really, really balance each other out. And I do have to tell you that he did used to work for Tony Robbins for like 7 years as one of his lead trainers traveling around the world. So the type of language that we use might be a little bit different than most couples. So things like taking the event of the Sarasota Chamber of Commerce, I could have been very upset, but you know what? I have to think of different ways to make a positive moment out of that.
Yeah.
A truly positive learning moment for myself, most importantly, and if other people happen to learn, great. But mainly it's really for myself. I'm a little selfish in that I have to think about how can I be a better person first before I go out and like say, hey, I want to teach you something.
Sure.
It doesn't happen that way.
Right. Now, also, you teach people, speaking of Anthony Robbins and his genius ideas and the way he's helped lots of people to think about the way they ask themselves questions differently, because like thinking is just a series of questions, right?
Exactly.
So what you ask yourself, and you ask yourself a very, very important question every day.
I do. I call it my personal motto, and you know how businesses have like Nike has "Just Do It."
Yeah.
It's their motto, it's their business motto,
right?
And they're something that you identify with that business. I have a personal motto, and that is magical moments. And so everything that I do, every cell in my body knows magical moments. I'm always in asking myself, how can I create a magical moment for myself, for other people, for my family, especially for kids. I love kids. But if that's always the first and last question that I ask myself at every moment, or even when I wake up and go to sleep, I know I'm doing well. So that's the question I always ask myself, and I challenge everyone that I meet to, okay, what's your personal motto? When you wake up, what do you ask yourself? When you go to bed, what do you ask yourself? When you're in a wonderful situation or a horrible situation, when you're angry, what do you ask yourself? And a lot of people, they'll ask themselves the wrong question, the wrong type of question, like, why me?
Right.
That's why I'm like, why me? Or how come it's not me? Or, why is this happening to me? Instead of asking, a better question like, okay, this situation sucks. How can I turn around? How can I create a magical moment for me right now, or for this person right now?
It's even more exciting to do it, to ask that question when things aren't going well,
exactly.
So that you can create something magical.
Yeah, you can turn on a dime just like that, just by asking yourself a different question.
And my question that I always ask every woman is, what is your juicy secret to living a happy and successful life?
Well, I honestly think that having a personal motto is my juicy secret, because that's every single day, every single moment in my life that I'm asking myself a good question.
And yours is?
Magical moments.
And how can I
create a magical moment?
Yeah. I love that.
Thank you.
I love that. This was a magical moment for me being with you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here.
My pleasure.
Thank you for joining us
on the Red Couch.